Gem in 10 sports. Fuchsias. Yeah, you know we wildin'. 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 It's that 10 Mint Gem Sports. Yeah. It's that Gem Mint 10 Sports.
Welcome to Gem in 10 Sports. I'm Lucky here with Scotty. You can find our links to all of our pages in the description box below. Also, please take advantage of our listener support tab and support the podcast so we can keep bringing you amazing content. Scotty, you missed your first podcast last week. How you been?
No, I didn't. I was here in spirit.
You were here in spirit, yeah.
Yeah, I was here in
Me
spirit.
and Josh, we held down the fort, though. So.
Yeah, no, thank you. Appreciate you guys for doing that. Just a little busy right now. School, work. Almost done, though. I'll be done with school on the 18th, so I'll be like 100% back into doing breaks and all that stuff. It's been rough the last 6 months. Well, actually 8 months, I should say, with school. So it's been hard to do everything that I want to do. But I think once the holidays are over, I'm getting a promotion at work and schedule's going to be much better. Pay is going to be better. So I can put more money back into cards and doing more breaks. My brother wants to jump in and, we're going to have our first card show coming up, which reminds me, you did your first card show. Congratulations. How'd that go?
Yeah, it was good. It was a different experience because, people at a card show, it's not like, browsing through TikTok and you see something you might like. They know what they're hunting for. They know what they want. So I'm bringing up the free raffle. We're raffling off a jersey. And many people were just like, yeah, whatever. Like, do you have, flux cards? I'm building that set. Like,
Yep.
Yeah, I got them right over here. Yeah. But no, it was interesting. Saw a lot of 10-year-old kids with their briefcases. I thought it was like an episode of Shark Tank. Like they're coming up and I'm offering them like, yeah, I'll give you this Josh Allen. He's like, yeah, for that reason, I'm out. And he walks away. I'm like, well, dang, kid. Like,
yeah,
it's
it's crazy. You know what? I'll tell you what, as a kid, I didn't know the value of cards or anything, when you first get into collecting. But now I feel like there's so many more dads out there that can, like, they're showing their kids like how to take care of cards, what's valuable, what's going to go up. I'm interested to see what sports cards is going to be in about 15 years when like these kids have like adult money. You know what I mean? Because right now they just have their parents' money and what they can flip, and it's interesting just to see like some of these kids are even doing breaks like on Whatnot and TikTok, and I'm just like, you might know more about these sports cards than me. Congratulations. Yeah. It's amazing. I enjoy seeing it. I think it's good for the hobby. The more people that you can get into the hobby, especially at a young age, the better it's going to be for the hobby. And these kids are like, man, they're like sharks in water smelling blood. Like they know what they have, and they know when they got someone on the hook. When they do that offer, and you're like, oh, I don't know if I can do it. Like, you're just like, you're on the brink, and they're just like, come on. And you want to do it because they're a kid. You know what I mean? Every kid or every adult, at like a sports place, like they always want to make like the kid's day, because that's just the way the hobby is. Like you want to make the kid's day. Like, as an adult, like, it's whatever. I can go off and I can buy this card again. It doesn't really matter if I don't come out on the deal, but to make a kid's day, you know what I mean? They give him a deal on like a card that he really wants, and he's offering you trades. Because if you're thinking about it, like the cards that he's trading for, they probably mean a lot more to him than like the card you're trading to him means to you.
Yeah.
So
he's looking for like, he was looking for value. Like, this card's 55. If you have something for 55, and I traded him my Trae Young Gem Mint 10 rookie because I wanted his Justin Herbert Select rookie. And they're both 9s. And he's like, yeah, 55 for 55. I'm like, yeah, but I'd rather have the Herbert than, Trae Young, So.
And that's nice. I like seeing that. Like when me and my brother went to the card show, what was it? It was about a month ago. I was amazed at the youth that was in there, but also the amount of like, people my age. I'm 40. It's nice to see still people my age, like very much into collecting. So it was fun to see. My brother, now that I got back into it, now he's gotten back into it because we both took a break at the same time. Like being as close as me and my brother are, typically like what one of us is into, the other one ends up being into. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah. No, I hear
So
you.
like, yeah. So when I got back into it, I'm taking pictures of what I'm getting and this and that, and then slowly he was like sending me pictures. Like he would go to Target. He just went to Target and he would just buy the occasional blaster. My brother makes good money, so I told him, you know what? Don't stop wasting your time going there. All right, look, just buy some hobby boxes. You're gonna be much happier. So he ended up. I did an order one time. I bought him a hobby box and gave it to him. And he hit some pretty good stuff. And after that, he was back to being hooked. And now my nephew, who's a junior in high school, now he's into cards. Now me and my brother are into baseball, but he's very much into. He likes basketball a lot, basketball and football. Like he collects baseball a little bit, but I do notice that baseball, it seems with like the youth, is a little bit is probably the third one. You know what I mean? I think
Yeah.
I think it's still, it might go football, maybe basketball, but those two sports are definitely above baseball as far as like the like kids go. But with adults, it just seems like baseball, baseball. And I think it's just because, like, think about it, when you're growing up, like when I first collected, it was the 80s. Everyone collected baseball. That was like, I think,
Oh yeah.
baseball was like, yeah, because when you would have a conversation about cards, it wasn't be like, oh, what football cards do you have? It was always like, what baseball cards do you have? Let me see your baseball collection.
Yeah.
But now, I'm not saying like it's the turn of the tides or anything, because baseball, like, I have a way easier time selling baseball than I do football, or even basketball for that matter.
Same with me. Yeah.
But yeah, but it just seems that like the more the youth want that, and I think eventually it might turn as you get older. I think you find that baseball is, how do I explain this? Like, there's so much more depth to baseball. You have to know
Right.
so much more, because you have to know both the prospects that are coming up, and you have to know the good major leaguers. I mean, you can just collect the major leaguers. I get it, but it's for like a business standpoint. And if you want to make your money, or you want to get like the real nice cards before they hit pro, I mean, that's baseball. And it's crazy because there's so many high tier baseball prospects that everyone's like spending crazy amounts of money on. And then they just don't make it. You know what I mean? And then there's
Yeah.
like this guy that like no one was collecting, breaks out in baseball, and then like everyone's trying to get him. So like for me, like with baseball, I pretty much just keep all my Bowman. Now, I don't get rid of my
Oh yeah.
Bowman.
Any
You
first
know,
Bowman, and you taught me that actually, because when I started getting into cards again, I was the same. I like football and basketball more. I've always loved baseball as a sport, to go to the games and all that. But this year, I've realized that I like collecting baseball more than football and basketball. And like when the first Bowmans came, and I would text you a lot, like, okay, so is this guy good? And you're like, dude, hold on to anything first Bowman, because you just never know, right? So
yep.
it's good to hold on to that stuff. So
Buy it, put it away. Don't look at it for 3 or 4 years, and you would be amazed as to what you're going to open that up. Like with me, I have a drawer right now, and I have them separated. I have like, 2020, 2021, 2022. I'm going to wait 3 years before I even look at any of these, to see what I have. You know what I
right,
mean? I mean, it's different when I'm buying stuff that's, major league now. That's a little different, but yeah, you just never know. That's, and another product I buy is Metal Leaf Draft. Even though it doesn't
yeah,
sell for nearly what like a Bowman will, they're pretty much they're just, they have really good looking cards. I don't know why more people aren't into it. Everyone wants Bowman. I guess it's kind of like the same thing like with grading. Everyone wants the PSA, even though like SGC is just as good, but it's just it's just that product that everyone like wants. But I have found myself to have better luck with like Metal Leaf Draft. So if you're
yeah.
listening
You
to this
sent
and you
me.
haven't,
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
oh, I was just gonna say, anyone listening to this, if you haven't tried Metal Leaf Draft baseball, give it a try. You'd be amazed as to what you can hit out of that stuff.
Yeah, because you sent me cards for my card show just to see, what would happen, and you had a metal leaf one in there. I think it's a Blaze Jordan numbered to 3 or something like that.
Did
I'm
I?
like, dude, this is a crazy, crazy
I
card to be putting out here.
yeah, I think I sent you that Khalil Watson auto too, right?
Yeah. Yep.
I think I sent you that too. Yeah, but and a side note, me and my brother are doing our first show, so whatever doesn't sell on your show, your next show that you're doing on this the 7th, right?
Yep.
Yeah, me and my brother are going to be doing a show on the 28th, so I'll just be taking those back from you.
Yeah.
And then
We'll
I
just
got
be
I
paying
got
shipping to ship it back and forth.
yeah, it's right. I made my money that Justin Jefferson that you sold that auto. You know, you end up
Made the
selling
deal
that for me.
today. He was really happy with it. I gave it to him at work, and he's like, "Dude, this is such a beautiful card. Like, send the
Yeah,
invoice." I sent it. He paid right away, and yeah, he loves that card. So
yeah, and it's a card that's only going to go up in value. You know, Justin Jefferson's not going anywhere. He's going to stay a top 3, I think, for his whole career. You know, so
he's
that's
such a good player. I mean,
yeah. No,
so
he
yeah,
is. And then side note, you know, I didn't get a chance to look. I wanted to look before we did this, but Brock Purdy, I bet you're going to see a whole this now that he came in, Garoppolo's done for the year. He won this week. There's going to be so much hype on his cards. I bet you if you go on eBay right now, I bet you a whole bunch of his stuff is up for sale. I'll bet you
oh
it's
yeah,
all over the place because this is the best time to sell. You know what I mean?
strike while the iron's hot.
Yeah. But the other thing too is, wouldn't it be amazing if? Because I mean, I'm not gonna lie. When Garoppolo went down and they showed the replay, I was on the phone with my brother. I was like, dude, look at you. Before they even announced that his foot was broken, I go, look at his foot. You could just see it. You could just see it. You could just see it break, and then here comes Purdy, and I'm like, oh my gosh, he's and I understand like he's not a terrible he wasn't a terrible quarterback coming out of college, but at the same time, you know, Mr. Irrelevant, you're taking the 7th round. Like, are you just a filler? What are you? And I'm not gonna lie, I was really impressed with some of those throws that he made. There was one throw he made to Kittle. He had probably less than 2 seconds to make that decision, and he was gonna get. I mean, they did a blitz. The guy was completely unblocked. He took a beating on that play, but he threw an absolute strike to Kittle. I was amazed by his demeanor on the field. He was ready to go, and so we're gonna see. I mean, the Dolphins. It's one thing to beat up on the Dolphins defense with no tape on you, and it's another thing now. People have some time to look at your tape, and we're see Tampa Bay is a much better defense. That's not they're no slouch. So we're gonna find out here this Sunday if he can keep it going, because the Niners have a string of some pretty tough games. I mean, we play Tampa Bay. We still have to play another game against Seattle. We played the Commanders, who are having a surprise year to me. I know you called it. You know, you thought they were going to do pretty good. You know, we still have played them. They're in the playoff. Actually, if the season were to end, they would actually be in the playoffs right now.
Yeah,
So, you know, that's another playoff team he's going to have to play. He plays the Raiders now. The Raiders have been hot. You know, it's funny because since Derek Carr cried, they're
yeah,
3-0. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. His press conference. Yeah,
Yeah, so since he cried, they're 3-0. So, you know,
I
maybe
mean, and he made valid points in that. I mean, it does suck when you go out there and they're athletes. This is their whole life, right? So to put in that effort and then you don't get it back from some of your teammates. I mean, I'd be pretty heated as well. Get a little emotional. But yeah, maybe that
yeah.
lit a spark under him.
Well, then Russell Wilson needs the ball. He needs to go
Yeah.
up there and just ball, because have you seen that joke? Have you been paying attention to that joke about the whole thing where is he going to have more touchdown passes than bathrooms in his home? Have you seen that?
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, it started. I want to say it started real pretty heavy about 3 weeks ago. So he has 12 bathrooms in his home, And as of right now, he has 8 touchdown passes on the year.
That's rough, dude. 8 on the
Well,
year.
okay, how much has Baker Mayfield played and how much does he get crapped on, right? He has
True.
6. He has
And
2
he just
more
got picked up
than
by the
yeah,
he just got picked up by the
by the
Rams.
Rams. Yeah, which they actually said he might play Thursday. He's flying out and he might play Thursday against the Raiders. I understand they have a really bad quarterback situation, but I don't know I don't know how you can get picked up, flown out to LA, study the book, have no real practice with the team, and then go out there and play. I mean, they're
I
playing
know,
the
yeah.
Raiders, and again, like I said, the Raiders have been hot. The Raiders could easily win that game, especially if Mayfield plays without knowing the book. I mean, they're going to be pretty limited on what they do. So it's going to be interesting to see how that situation pans out. And I actually heard a lot of talk that he was going to go to the Niners if he made it down that far, but after listening to Shanahan kind of talk about it, I don't think Shanahan was going to be a fan of having a roster spot because they just took Josh Johnson off the Denver's practice squad, and so if you take someone off of if you claim someone off of someone's practice squad, they have to be they have to be on your 53-man roster for 3 weeks. I think is what the rule is.
Oh,
So
wow.
and the Niners are not known for carrying 3 quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So if they had selected Mayfield, they would have had him, Johnson, and then Purdy. So I don't think that's going to go. That would have gone over well. But it's gonna be interesting for the 49ers. So excited to see that. And then you being a Cubs fan, you guys got Cody Bellinger today,
We did.
which I don't know if he just needed a new change of scenery or if he just sucks now.
Well, he fills a big gap we have in center field for sure. And I know since his injuries and all that, he hasn't really, been what he used to be. But I mean, he's going to be good enough that I like him in center field. I like him where
Yeah.
where he needs to be. So, and I know that Ricketts pretty much told the general manager today, no limit anymore. Use this winter, spend whatever you have to spend, get us in the playoffs next year. So, and giving away Bryant and Rizzo and Baez, like you're in rebuild mode, and I don't think he wants to go through a whole rebuild now. I think he just wants to get back to the playoffs. So spend whatever you got to spend to get people here. Cody Bellinger is a good start to get people to want to play there. Like, okay, well, they're picking up pieces. Maybe I'll join the Cubs this year, see what they can do, So we'll see. I'm excited to see, what'll happen in these winter meetings and all that. So
yeah, and then I've been hearing talks that Swanson might be going to the Cubs and Bogarts, who they would move to third base because you're not going to give you're not going to take Swanson away from shortstop. He's way too good defensively, and I don't know what the Braves are doing. Like he was a huge part of our success last year, huge.
yeah,
And it's not like I understand the one thing. Now look, if he goes to the Cubs, one thing you're going to learn about him is he is a super streaky hitter. He's gonna go a month where you're just like, this guy's the best hitter I've ever seen, to like this guy's the worst hitter I've ever seen. But the one thing that he never disappoints at is defense. And I would much rather have a streaky hitter or inconsistent hitter and take that solid defense because he just makes some plays that you're just gonna be like, how did he do that? So and I don't know. The Braves defensively are not going to find that again. And I'm a big fan of defense and I just pay the man his money. You should have learned your lesson with Freddie Freeman.
yeah.
And you didn't. So we're gonna see if it comes back to bite him in the ass because Philly's got better. They signed Trey Turner.
They did. Yeah, 300 million, and actually, I don't know if you heard that too, but the Padres offered him 342 million.
Well,
that was a report today anyway, but
yeah, I kept hearing reports he wanted to go back out to the East Coast, so it made sense that he ended up signing with the Phillies. But man, could you imagine if he had gone to the Padres?
Yeah, that would have been a dangerous team, man.
Yeah,
I think that they're a shoe-in at least for I would say go to the World Series. They're a solid team, dude. You add him to that. That'd be crazy.
Yeah. So, hey, you remember my whole prediction about Shohei going to the Dodgers?
Yeah.
Just read an article today that the Dodgers are preparing to make a run at Shohei in free agency. So my prediction of him being traded there, it could still happen. Maybe it'll happen mid-season. If they plan on, instead of even letting him go to free agency, maybe they offer the Angels a nice package. And if the Angels feel like they're not going to resign him, because if I'm Shohei, I'm not resigning with the Angels. I'm not
No.
wasting my career. I'm not making the same mistake that Trout did. I'm not wasting my career for a franchise that's not going anywhere. I would 100%. And again, like I had said this before, is Shohei needs to be in the playoffs, and so does Mike Trout. I wish they would just leave the Angels. They're just wasting them,
Yeah.
So
And
it
it sucks,
just
having a player of that caliber in Shohei, he should definitely be in a playoffs, in a playoff contender. And being on the Dodgers, I mean, I think that's dangerous too. They're a pretty good team already, and you add Shohei to the mix. Like, hey, where do you think Aaron Judge is going to go? I think that he's been receiving offers, but I don't know much detail on that. But
from the get go, I think I had talked about this last time I was on the podcast. Giants. And the Giants, from what I understand, are about to offer him a huge contract. So I just, for some reason, I just don't think he wants to stay in New York. I mean, this is now the offer. New York has offered him two separate contracts. They offered him
yeah,
one during the season. He turned it down. They've offered him another contract,
and he's
and
just not interested. Yeah,
I don't know what it is. There's got to be something in that organization that he's not happy about, or maybe he just wants to see what other people are going to offer him, and then come back to the Yankees and be like, "Look, this is what I'm getting offered. Match or beat it, or I'm gone." So
yeah,
I think he's smart for slow playing it and not just jumping on like the first offers, because as other players get signed elsewhere, some teams are going to become desperate when they don't get that piece that they need.
yeah. And then they just sign the next best
And
thing that they can get. Yeah,
yeah, and what's going to end up happening is someone's going to offer him just a crazy contract, and he's gonna pay out. So yeah, excited to see that. I love off-season baseball. I love it.
oh
It's the
yeah. There's so
best.
many moving pieces to watch, and it's exciting. I mean, basketball used to be there used to be a lot of trades, but now people build the super teams and they just kind of stick where they're at, and it's like
I have
you know,
hated basketball since the whole super teams has started. Ever
yeah,
since, look at like it's fine. You want to do a super team or whatever, but when Wade and LeBron and what's his face? I can't even think of it.
Chris Bosh.
Yeah, Chris Bosh. When they did that revealing,
Yeah, that
I was
was
just
yeah,
like, I just put my head down and be like, no, please just. When they came out and they were flexing all on the uniforms and everything, I'm just like,
yeah.
no, this is
We're not
not.
gonna
This
win
is
one, not two, not three. Yeah, you only won
yeah,
like two. So
yeah, yeah. It was just I wasn't a fan of that, And then when KG went to the Warriors, wasn't a fan of that either.
yeah,
Like, stay put, and just show that you can win without having to create these teams. You know?
KD to me showed right there his true colors, that he's not a Kobe or a Jordan that could lead a team. Like I need to get a ring. What do I got to do? I'll go play second fiddle to Curry and Klay Thompson. Like, you're KD, one of the best shooters in the league. Build a team around yourself. Earn those rings. You just got two freebies, pretty much. They would have won without you. I mean, they didn't
Yeah,
need you.
yeah. No, I totally agree with that. Well, they proved that. They won last year. They
Yeah,
they proved that they didn't need him, and then he takes off, and then now he can't win without them.
he can't win it all. I mean, like I mentioned a couple weeks ago, I won't dive into again, but that whole Nets thing is just an embarrassment. They thought they were making all these moves, and it's been a mess. It's been a train wreck with Kyrie and KD, and Steve Nash got fired, and everything just falls apart over there in Brooklyn. So it is what it is. I
Yeah,
think KD
I
kind of deserves it.
yeah, and I haven't even really paid attention to any basketball this year. I know you were talking about like I think actually me and you were having a conversation about this the other day about how basketball, like you have a whole bunch of basketball that you've been trying to sell, and you can't give it away. And
Yeah,
like what you said, you thought it was the draft class, and it's just I don't know. It's just it's weird. People just don't seem to be interested in basketball this year, and I think you were correct. Maybe it was the draft class because the year before, everybody was all about.
Optic is a great product. I mean, in baseball, if I throw Optic in a break, it goes because it's a great product. If you want Optic NBA a year ago, those blasters are still $50. If you want them from 2 years ago, they're still more because that was John Morant's rookie year in 2019. But this one you have like Cade Cunningham, Jalen Green, like you can pull fire from the Optic, but most people chase those hot rookies and that's the climate we're in now. Everyone wants to pull the hot cards and sell them right away. Because I mean, the Prism too. I pulled the Cade Cunningham cracked ice. I comped it the day I did it. It was like $150, and right now it's like $35 because it was hot at one point, and then he's not nothing. But he's hurt, so that hurts him too. But it's definitely the draft class. And luckily, I filled a break the other night, and I pretty much announced on my live once I get rid of this NBA optic, it's going to be a hobby from now on. So I
Yeah.
don't want to deal with the risk of retail is what I'm gonna call it because you have no idea what's gonna pan out and what is and what isn't, and then you overpay in the beginning, then you can't give it away like this stuff. So it'll be only hobby for me for sure.
No, I totally see that, and this has come back to some of the debates that we've had in the past. It's just everyone. The problem is that everyone's chasing the same players like in basketball. What everyone's looking for like the same five guys. Football, everyone's just chasing the couple quarterbacks. And now I don't even know, this super hyped up 2021 draft class. I don't even know what to make of it anymore. I
Yeah,
do think I think Lawrence is still going to be okay. I want to say Lance is going to be okay, but I don't know. He's going into his third year, and he's going to have less games played than Brock Purdy by the end of the season, as long as Purdy stays healthy. And it's like, well, what if Purdy comes out here and he just smashes? He does great. What do you do? You know what I mean? And
yeah.
and
I
and
mean,
then Mac Jones is average as they come.
oh
You know,
God, yeah,
Zach, Z-
yeah.
Zach Wilson won't even be in the league in 3 years. And it's just like Davis, Mills is. I was hoping he was going to do good. Like I said, there was no pressure on him this year, but they ended up benching him, and I don't think it matters who's starting in Houston. They stink.
No,
They,
yeah.
they don't got a defense. They don't got an offense. It just yeah, it sucks. It sucks for them.
A
And
couple of these
and
rookies though, like Trey Lance didn't really get a fair shot. Like we don't really know what he's capable of. He got hurt
yeah,
pretty early. He could pan out. I think Fields will get better.
I
Um,
was going to talk about
I,
Fields.
yeah,
They're finally using. I feel like they're using him right now. I
yeah,
don't. I think they were still trying to figure out, okay, what's going to work for him, what's not. And now I think they finally figured it out. Now I feel like, okay, he doesn't have to be as long. He's going to be like Lamar Jackson. He doesn't need to throw for 300 yards for them to win. He can throw for 150 yards and rush for 80 to 100 yards, and move the chains. You just need a quarterback that can move the chains, and it doesn't matter whether he throws the ball or runs the ball, as long as he moves the chains.
yeah.
And Fields is built. He can take a beating. You know what I mean? He's
Oh
not a
yeah.
small guy. You know what I mean? So he can take that beating for a while. And going back to Lance, I was telling my brother I just didn't like the way Shanahan was using him. He just takes the snap and shotgun and runs up the middle for 2 yard
Yeah,
gain. I could
yeah.
do
Maybe
that.
that's not for
Like,
him. Yeah,
hey, pay me a few $1 million. I weigh 250 pounds or 250 pounds. I'll go get my ass kicked a little bit. I'll take a snap in the shotgun and run it up the middle. It's
yeah.
just
For two
you're not.
yards.
Yeah, it's just what are you doing? You some of these young quarterbacks too that can run. The problem is that they don't develop them into pocket passers, which they should also be. I think like the years of Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson is a great example when he was in Seattle. Okay, Russell Wilson didn't look to run, and he was so good when he ran out of the pocket, not necessarily ran with the ball, but when he just moved with the ball, and it became like almost backyard football where it's just now receivers are just running wherever they can, just trying to get open. And to me, that's a much dangerous format than having like a quarterback that just he just takes the ball and he just runs. Like, especially when the defense sees the tape and you're running the same thing over and over and over. Like, it just, what are you gonna do now? Because like the Niners, they're built to run, and it's like, well, you're taking away from the running game if you can't pass the ball. People are just gonna start to stack the box. So you got to show that he has the arm, you know.
Yeah,
So
and you don't have to run much at all. You got McCaffrey there now. He's new since Lance has been
yep.
out, so that takes away the need to have him try to do that. But
Mason, the running back, just man, let me tell you, just keep an eye on this guy. Okay, that guy, he went undrafted, but let me tell you, he's Shanahan just has a knack for finding these running backs, taking them, and just they're just built for his system. That makes sense. They may not be
yeah,
necessarily built for like the NFL or anything like that. Like maybe they can go somewhere else and not be successful, but yeah, it just, to me, it just, as long as you find a system that works for you, you could be great. And I think that's going to end up being what's going to go on with Mason. So
the
we'll
last
find
thing I was
out.
going to tell
But
you about what you were talking about with that Mac Jones, because me and you both agree he's maybe not even going to be a starter in a couple of years
he
here.
he's average.
Which
There's
and there's a rumor that Brady might want to reunite with Belichick, but the point I was going to make is so Mac Jones, I have the cards out right on my card show, and you sent me the Mac Jones, the silver, the mosaic,
the
and
short print.
I have it. Yeah, so I have it laying there, but like my sister comes around, like organizes them because she's got OCD and has to have them a certain way. I'm like, whatever, as long as people can see them. But she was covering Mac Jones, and some guy came over. He looks at his girl. He's like, "Oh, look at this Tom Brady," and he like moved. He's like, "Oh, that's just Mac Jones." He covered it back
Yeah,
up.
I
He's like, "Oh,
I
never mind."
yeah. Even though it's a short print, like I'm a little high on the card because it's a short print. But I think, like I said, like I'm getting completely out of the football and baseball game as far as card collecting. So I'll probably end up just really dropping the price on the card, just getting rid of it because I actually, I'm afraid of what's going to happen to the card. So I'd rather
Yeah,
get something for it than nothing for it. You know what I mean? So
correct. Yeah.
yeah, so a lot of my football stuff, like I mean, you saw what I sent you for that dollar box that I sent you. You were like,
Oh
"What are
yeah.
you doing?" And I'm just like, "I'm gonna get rid of it. What are you talking about? I'd rather make a couple bucks, like have someone that like these kids that like maybe they show up to the card show and dad's like, here's $25, go enjoy yourself. You know what I mean? And they come
Well, that
across this
that dollar
dollar.
box was loaded because of you. Because there's too many good cards in there. Where I'm like, dude, $1, and this dude comes with his girl, and he saw some of the cards. He's like, "Oh, I'm gonna be here for a little while," and she's like, "Come on, babe, we gotta go." And he's like, "Look, I'll take you to Target after this." She's like, "You promise?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "I gotta go
Get her
through
with the
this dollar
Target.
box."
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah,
he bought a lot of your cards because you had a lot of, like I said, good stuff in there, and it made me reevaluate. Like, am I putting too much on mine? Like, because he's putting really good cards in here, and then my cards over here, like, well, this is $3, but
yeah.
you can get these
So
cards for $1.
I did a lot of research before I sent you some of these cards, and anything that's like $3-4, I don't mind putting a dollar sticker on it. It's not a big deal if it, like, especially if I pulled it, is not really a big deal because, like I said, like my football stuff, I'm just trying to get it out of the way. Basketball, I'm trying to get out of the way. So like, it's whatever because that money is just going to go into baseball. So it's just going to end
Yeah,
up making me happy. And I'd rather just get rid of it than sit on it and sit on it and sit on it. And some of those cards might eventually become $1 anyways. You don't know. They're
yeah,
just newer cards is all it is. So I don't know. And then the binder is the same thing. I know you were looking through the binder. You're like, how are you selling that at this price? And it's like, dude, you don't understand how much baseball I have.
yeah,
Like I would just look at it and be like, I wouldn't even comp it. I was just like, I'm gonna go put it into the binder. It's going into the
yeah.
binder. Especially when I have like 5, 6, 7 of the same cards. Like I told you that binder I sent you,
I get that.
I
Yeah,
I could duplicate that binder a whole bunch. So it just made sense. And like I said, I'd rather make someone else happy with some of these cards than it just sit over here in my collection. And I'm very particular with who I collect and who I keep permanently. Like I don't have like a huge amount. And also the other thing too with like collecting, if I just like the card, even if it's a nobody, if I just like the card, I'm gonna keep it because I like the card. That's the point of collecting. Some people they get so like wound up in like, oh, it has to be this guy. It has to be this cracked ice auto has to be numbered to 5 and whatever. Like they're so particular on what they want, which is okay because that's what they collect, that's what they like, that's what gets them going. That's fine. But for me, if I just like the card, I don't care whose name is on it. I'm gonna keep it because I like the card. That's what I like.
Yeah,
You know. Now,
no,
am
I
I
hear
gonna
you.
send in? Am I gonna send in the PSA? No,
Yeah,
but
no,
yeah, yeah, and I think I'm gonna wait till maybe the last episode of the season to talk about as far as like what I'm gonna do about grading and stuff like that. I want to talk about it with Josh because me and Josh have some pretty similar thoughts, and even you're kind of the same way with some of that stuff. But yeah,
yeah.
that's
Which
just
reminds me, for the listener. So then this next, we have this podcast episode. The next episode will be the season finale, just because Christmas is coming up. Got a lot of stuff going on. We're trying to get a plan in place for Gym Mint 10 of like to do bigger things next year. So the next episode will be the finale with Josh on. So this week he has a market movers video coming out on the YouTube channel. We're talking about doing our sports betting picks of the week, which I know you don't do much sports betting, but if you have any ideas you want to hop on there with us, 10-minute video to give a little feedback of
oh,
what you think.
I'll give my insight on like on it for sure. I mean, I do the occasional parlay just for fun. It's fun, but it's just I don't know. I just to me once I start betting on it like that, it takes the fun out of watching football because
Oh yeah,
then I'm like, oh, I need this to happen. And it's like just I just want to enjoy the game, and when it starts becoming like oh I need this to happen or whatever, like fantasy football, like it's fun. I like fantasy football. See, that's what makes watching football even funner because then I'm gonna watch games that like I really don't care the outcome of the game. I care about what my fantasy guy does. You know what I mean? And that
oh
makes
yeah,
it fun. But when I care so much about the outcome of the game, it just takes the joy of watching the game away. And that's why I personally don't gamble on sports. But that's
yeah.
just me
What
personally.
one of my rules is I really try not to bet against like the Bears because then like if they're gonna win, I'm not happy about it because I lost money. So I only bet against them if I know for sure like okay, there's no chance they win this game. Then I mean they play the Eagles I think this year. I might use that in my parlay. Like they're not gonna beat the Eagles. There's no way they beat the Eagles. But
Yeah.
that might change next year if they get a lot of weapons. But anyway, I wanted to mention this to you. So Josh has the market movers. There's a couple things he didn't bring up. I'm just going to give you a couple players and see what you think as far as if listeners should collect
If,
these guys. But
all right.
so the top MVP candidates for NFL. So Patrick Mahomes is the number one card that's gone up. So his MVP odds are minus 154, so they're pretty good odds, but his price movement's up like 4% just this week. And they said it could go up, even
Which is
more.
interesting because they just lost.
Yeah. Yeah. And it just went
You
up
know that
4%. So I don't know if it's the schedule. Maybe the schedule looks good the rest of the year.
I know they okay. Who did they have the? Who do they have Houston coming up? And oh my gosh, I can't. Oh, they play Denver. They play Denver and Houston back to back. So
So,
like we said with Russell Wilson, he can't throw a touchdown pass. So whatever.
yeah.
Yeah. So it could be right. It could be the schedule. They have 2 easy games coming up.
And this is weird too because number two is Jalen Hurts, and his MVP odds are plus 360. His cards have went down 12.1% this
Which is
past week.
weird because he's playing some of his best football right
I
now.
know.
He
And it's
really
just price
is.
fluctuations, right, of what people are paying. But yeah, people are paying 13% less per card on him maybe because people are kind of holding, and people that don't know anything about Jalen Hurts is selling it pretty cheap. Maybe that's why. But yeah, it
Well,
was odd to
people,
me that yeah,
yeah, maybe it's Cowboy fans that are selling them.
yeah, maybe. And then the third one is Tua. He's up 6%, and then Josh Allen is down
Which, okay,
12%.
which is surprising about Tua because he got fully exposed. Look at, I know people are super hyped on the Dolphins, but they had a very cakewalk schedule. They played some really bad defenses.
They did.
They went to San Francisco and got exposed. Now I know Jalen Waddle got hurt during the game, but at the same time, it's like, okay, Tua just lost to Mr. Irrelevant.
Yeah.
That you can't, if people are going to sit there and proclaim you as one of the next up and coming young quarterbacks, that's a game you can't lose. That's a game
True.
you cannot lose. And he threw 2 interceptions, which I understand they weren't totally on him. And he got, the strip, fumble for a touchdown. But it's just you can't do that. You can't. If you're going to be so, for me, I bet you in the next couple weeks his cards goes they're going to go down after that, because
That's possible.
yeah, I think so. I think he fully got exposed. He was so rattled. Some of those passes he was missing, I was like, how? Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So
No, that's funny. So
I didn't.
mean,
You
we'll
said
see.
Josh.
Yeah, Josh
You said
Allen's
Josh.
number 4. He's down 12%.
I think he's been up and down all season, hasn't he?
Yeah, with his I know we talked about. I mean, my prediction is he's MVP. His odds for that are plus 1,200 right now.
Yeah,
So I
and
might want to lay a little bet down on that just in case that ever hits. But
yeah, and I think they play the Jets. I think coming up, I could be wrong, but I think they play the Jets, and then they play. Oh my gosh, I was just looking at this earlier. I can't believe I can't remember, but yeah, I believe they play the Jets, and then they have a pretty easy game after that. So he might have a huge game in 2 weeks, and we'll
okay.
see.
Yeah, and like I said, Josh is going to go over a lot of this, but there's one thing he didn't include in his video that I found. So I want you to guess the 5 most sold cards in the last 30 days. Who do you think is number 1? All sports:
Sold,
baseball, football,
sold,
basketball.
sold.
Most
Well,
cards sold.
if it's basketball, I'm not gonna know because I don't
It's
follow
not
basketball.
basketball. It's not basketball. It's football.
It's football.
It's football. And I've already mentioned his name in this podcast.
So it's got to be Mahomes.
Justin Fields. Most
Sold,
cards
huh?
sold in the last 30 days.
I don't know if that's good or bad. I don't know if that's good or bad.
Yeah, and then second's John Morant, third Zion Williamson, 4 Joe Burrow, and 5 LeBron James.
You notice what's not on there?
Who?
No baseball.
Yeah, actually, now that you mention it, yeah, there isn't.
We'll see if that changes in a couple months.
Well, it's off season.
Hey, I don't know. I've been going into on Whatnot. I've been going into a lot of these baseball channels that I follow, and they've been hot. They have been just blowing up. People are buying a lot of baseball right now, but I think it comes down to like what we were talking about how there's just so many players you can buy. And with this being in the off season, the one thing I have been seeing that's been selling a lot is a lot of prospects. People are trying to buy prospects now because the one thing is during the off season, prospects will go down in price, but then come once it starts getting closer to the season, you have a couple prospects that people are like, oh, okay, where's this guy coming from? You know what I mean? That and there's usually there's a few surprises that start the season off either up in the bigs, or you have the reverse where they start down in the minors when they were being reported that they were going to be with the big league club. So I give it probably about late February, early March. You're going to see probably a lot of baseball cards shoot up in price.
That's what I think too. Which last thing I'll mention about that is the new Mosaic. I don't know if you saw that is out. First off the line boxes. I'm kind of curious to get a couple of those.
Are you talking about the? Are you talking about? Oh, so you're talking about the same product that I just did that review on?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, the 2022. Yeah,
yeah. You can never go wrong with first off the line. I don't know if you've ever ripped it or if you've seen it, but let me tell
never
you,
first
if you're
off the line. Yeah,
look, I'm going to tell you right now, if you're going to spend the extra money on a box and you can get yourself a first off the line, do it. You will not be disappointed in what you pull
so they
off
just
of
put a
any
lot more
first off.
fire in these boxes, right? There's a lot more heat in these boxes.
Yeah, so basically they're just known for having great hits. That's basically what it is. That's why they're and I'm assuming that's why they're so much more expensive. I think that one is like an extra $100, isn't it? Close to
Yeah,
like
well,
$100 more.
I mean, so right now, yeah, I mean the prices we can get them at is a little bit cheaper than I thought it would be, and there's also Christmas sales and stuff going on. But yeah, I think it is a little bit more. It is a little bit more expensive. I don't know how much more, but
Okay. Well, that's you know what? How about this? I'll buy one and I'll do one for a video.
all right. Yeah, I mean, I
Uh,
want to order when I do baseball breaks. I want to get some of those before they're gone, like the first off the line. So
yeah.
I'm gonna
Okay.
try it.
All right, cool.
All right,
We'll
you
do
got
that.
anything
But
else?
I think we can end it with that right there.
All right. Well, again,
So,
thank you guys for the support. If you're watching us on YouTube, listening on Spotify, we appreciate all the support and what you guys do and liking the video and commenting. So please keep doing that. We'll be bringing more content. Like I said, the next episode will be the season finale. So we'll come back with season 2, and we're gonna discuss what kind of bigger videos we can bring you guys and all that good stuff. So this week we'll have the market movers and sports betting picks of the week, and other than that, we'll have the finale, and then we'll take a break for Christmas, and we'll come back.
yep. Be
All right,
excited. I'll be
yep,
excited for that.
oh yeah, for sure. So, well, thanks, Scotty. We'll let you go. Have a good night. I know you got work in the morning. So,
Yes, sir.
all right, take care, guys.
All
See you in
right.
the next one.
See
Bye.
ya.